The warning. The Defiant hung motionless against the backdrop of Saturn's rings, its experimental quantum drives humming quietly in standby mode. Captain Elena Santos stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes fixed on the distant sparkle of light that had triggered every warning system aboard her ship. After 15 years in the Earth Defense Force, she had learned to trust her instincts, and right now, they were screaming danger. Analysis complete, Captain. Lieutenant Park called from his station, his voice tight with concern. The object's velocity and trajectory don't match any known natural phenomena. It's artificial, and it's heading straight for Earth. Elena nodded, her expression remaining neutral despite the gravity of the situation. The Defiant wasn't just any ship. It was humanity's best-kept secret, a vessel built with technology that Earth's governments had collectively agreed to hide from the rest of the galaxy. For 3 decades, humanity had maintained the facade of being a primitive spacefaring race, all while preparing for a day they hoped would never come. "Show me the scan results," Elena ordered, turning away from the window. The holographic display sprang to life in the center of the bridge, revealing a sleek, predatory vessel, unlike anything in Earth's database. Its hull bore marking that the ship's AI translated as belonging to the Kraxan Empire, a name that sent chills down Elena's spine. The Kraxan were notorious throughout the known galaxy, not for their military might, but for their resource extraction operations. They would find developing worlds, overwhelm them with superior technology, and strip them bare of valuable resources, leaving behind nothing but hollow shells of planets. "They're scanning the solar system," Lieutenant Park reported, his fingers dancing across his console. "Their energy emissions suggest they're using standard surveyor protocols. They don't know we can detect them." Elena allowed herself a grim smile. This was exactly the scenario they had prepared for. The Defiant wasn't just a warship, it was humanity's insurance policy. While the rest of Earth's fleet consisted of deliberately outdated vessels, the Defiant represented the true extent of human technological achievement. "Send the alert to command," Elena ordered, "but maintain our current position. Let's see what our visitors do next." The next few hours were tense as they observed the Kraxan scout ship methodically scanning each planet in the solar system. Elena used the time to review the Defiant's capabilities one more time. The quantum displacement drive was still experimental, but it was their greatest advantage. Unlike conventional faster-than-light travel, it allowed the ship to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously, making it nearly impossible to target. The alert klaxon suddenly blared through the bridge. "Captain." Lieutenant Park's voice was urgent. "They've launched automated probes toward Earth. Initial readings suggest they're equipped with deep scan capability." Elena's decision was immediate. Initiate quantum displacement. Target those probes. We can't let them report back what they find. The Defiant's engines hummed to life, the deck vibrating slightly as the quantum field engaged. To any observer, the ship would appear to blur, seeming to exist in several places at once. The technology was based on principles that most races considered theoretical, but humanity had cracked the code through decades of secret research. The engagement was brief but decisive. The Defiant shifted through quantum states faster than the probes could react, destroying each one with precise plasma shots. The Kraxan scout ship immediately altered its course, attempting to flee, but Elena had anticipated this. "Execute pattern Delta," she commanded. The Defiant phased into existence directly in the scout ship's path, its weapons already charged. Elena opened a communication channel. "Kraxan vessel, this is your only warning. You have entered restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." The response came in the form of an energy surge as the Kraxan ship attempted to power up its weapons. Before they could fire, the Defiant's quantum-enhanced weapons had already struck their target. The scout ship's engines flared briefly before going dark. As Elena watched the disabled vessel drift, she knew this was only the beginning. The scout ship's failure to report back would bring more Kraxan ships, but that had always been part of the plan. Humanity needed the galaxy to understand that Earth was not the easy target they assumed it to be. "Send a recovery team," Elena ordered. "I want every piece of data from their systems. And contact Earth Command. Tell them," she paused, choosing her words carefully, "tell them the game has begun." The bridge crew worked in focused silence, each understanding the weight of the moment. Humanity had just revealed its hand to a fraction of its true capabilities, and there would be no turning back. The coming days would determine whether their long preparation had been enough. As Elena watched the recovery team approach the Kraxan vessel, she thought about all the sacrifices that had led to this moment. The decades of secret development, the resources poured into the quantum displacement program, the carefully maintained facade of technological inferiority. It had all been for this. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were far more than they appeared to be, and the Kraxan Empire had just made a fatal mistake in choosing Earth as their next target. The preparation. The news of the Kraxan scout ship's arrival spread through Earth's military command like wildfire. In the vast underground complex beneath the Mariana Trench, Admiral Chen watched the holographic replay of the Defiance engagement for the 12th time. The quantum displacement technology had performed even better than their simulations had predicted. "The Kraxan database confirms our worst fears," Elena reported via quantum-encrypted channel from the Defiant. Her holographic form stood before the assembled military leadership of Earth. They designated our solar system as a Class A harvesting target. Their main fleet will arrive within 2 weeks. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. "How many ships?" "At least 300 capital ships, supported by over 1,000 smaller vessels." Elena's expression remained steady as she delivered the news. "But there's something else. The Kraxan have never failed in a harvesting operation. They don't just believe they're invincible. They've never had reason to doubt it." "Then we'll give them their first lesson in humility," Chen replied, his weathered face showing a hint of a smile. "Captain Santos, initiate Phase 2. We're done hiding." Throughout the solar system, hidden installations began powering up. Asteroid bases that had masqueraded as mining operations revealed themselves to be military shipyards. The facade of Earth's technological backwardness began to crumble as the true extent of human preparation became apparent. On Mars, massive hangar doors opened in the side of Olympus Mons, revealing rows of ships equipped with variations of the quantum displacement drive. They weren't as advanced as the Defiant, but they were far beyond anything the Kraxan would expect from a primitive Earth. Elena spent the next week preparing her crew for what was to come. The Defiant's quantum displacement drive had been upgraded based on data from their encounter with the scout ship. Lieutenant Park had discovered ways to extend their quantum state transitions, allowing for even more unpredictable combat maneuvers. "The key is psychological warfare," Elena explained to her assembled crew. "The Kraxan believe they're technologically superior. Their entire strategy relies on overwhelming primitive civilizations with advanced technology. We're going to use that arrogance against them." The plan was audacious. While the rest of Earth's hidden fleet would remain concealed, the Defiant would present itself as humanity's sole defender. They would allow the Kraxan to believe they had stumbled upon a single advanced ship, an anomaly rather than a representation of Earth's true capabilities. They'll assume the scout ship was destroyed by luck or a malfunction, Lieutenant Park added during the briefing. "The Kraxan database shows they've encountered isolated advanced technology before, but they've never faced a civilization that could match them ship for ship." As the days passed, the tension mounted. Earth's surface remained calm, its population unaware of the approaching threat. This, too, was part of the plan. The appearance of normal civilian life would reinforce the Kraxan's belief in their superiority. The Defiant underwent its final modifications. The quantum displacement drive was linked to a new weapon system that could fire through its own quantum states, making it appear as though attacks were coming from multiple positions simultaneously. The ship's AI had been upgraded to handle the complex calculations required for extended quantum state transitions. Elena spent hours in simulation, pushing the ship's capabilities to their limits. The quantum displacement technology was still experimental, and prolonged use could have unpredictable effects on both the ship and its crew. But they had no choice. Everything hinged on convincing the Kraxan that they faced only one advanced ship. A week before the expected arrival of the Kraxan fleet, Alina received a private transmission from Admiral Chen. "Captain, there's something you need to know." His expression was grave. "The quantum displacement drive. Our latest calculations show that extended use could create permanent quantum entanglement of organic matter." "You mean the crew could become quantum locked?" Alina asked, understanding the implications immediately. "Yes. If you maintain multiple quantum states for too long, you and your crew might never be able to fully return to a single state of existence. You'd be conscious across multiple quantum realities simultaneously." Alina absorbed this information in silence. The risk was enormous, but so were the stakes. "Does the crew know?" "No. As captain, this decision falls to you." Alina thought of her crew, of Earth, of everything they had worked for. "The risk doesn't change anything," she said finally. "We'll do what needs to be done." As she ended the transmission, Alina looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Kraxan fleet was approaching, confident in their superiority, unaware that they were heading into a trap decades in the making. But the price of victory might be higher than anyone had anticipated. The final days of preparation passed quickly. The Defiant took up its position near Mars, apparently alone in its defense of Earth. Behind it, hidden in quantum shadows, Earth's true fleet waited. Everything was ready. Now they just needed the Kraxan to take the bait. The deception. The Kraxan fleet emerged from hyperspace in a display of overwhelming force. 300 capital ships materialized in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with predatory intent. Smaller vessels swarmed around them like angry wasps, their sensors immediately beginning to scan the solar system. Alina stood on the Defiant's bridge, watching the massive fleet appear. Despite all their preparation, the sight was still intimidating. Each Kraxan capital ship was larger than anything humanity had ever built, their weapons capable of reducing planets to ash. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Lieutenant Park reported, his voice steady despite the tension. "They're demanding Earth's immediate surrender." "Let's give them what they expect," Alina replied, nodding to her communications officer. The message they transmitted was deliberately crafted to reinforce the Kraxan's preconceptions. Earth's governments responded with a show of panic and confusion, their messages overlapping and contradicting each other. To the Kraxan, it would appear as though they faced a fractured, primitive civilization. The Defiant remained in orbit around Mars, apparently attempting to hide behind the planet's bulk. Alina knew the Kraxan's sensors would detect them. That was part of the plan. They needed to be seen as Earth's sole advanced defender, a desperate last hope. The Kraxan Supreme Commander's hologram appeared on the bridge, his scaled features twisted in amusement. "So, you're the one who destroyed our scout ship," he said, addressing Alina directly. "I am Supreme Commander Vexthor. I must admit, finding advanced technology in such a backward system is interesting. Perhaps we'll study your ship's remains after we've dealt with your planet." Alina met his gaze steadily. "This is your only warning, Commander. Leave this system, or face the consequences." Vexthor's laughter echoed through the bridge. "Brave words from a single ship. Your quantum technology is impressive, but do you really think one vessel can stand against my entire fleet? Why don't you find out?" Alina challenged, allowing a hint of desperation to enter her voice. The Kraxan fleet moved with practiced precision, spreading out to surround the Defiant. They had done this countless times before. Isolate the strongest defender, eliminate it quickly to demoralize the population, then begin the systematic harvesting of the system. What they didn't know was that every movement of their fleet was being tracked by quantum-shifted sensors hidden throughout the solar system. Earth's cloaked fleet adjusted their positions accordingly, maintaining their invisible presence just out of phase with normal space. The battle began exactly as planned. The Defiant engaged the Kraxan fleet with apparent recklessness, using its quantum displacement drive to appear vulnerable while actually gathering crucial tactical data. Each time the ship seemed about to be destroyed, it would phase shift at the last moment, appearing elsewhere in the battlefield. They're growing frustrated, Lieutenant Park reported, monitoring the Kraxan communications. They're committing more ships to the pursuit. Elena felt the strange sensation that came with prolonged quantum displacement, a feeling of existing in multiple places at once. She knew her crew was experiencing the same thing, their consciousness beginning to spread across quantum states, but they had to maintain the deception just a little longer. The Kraxan fleet had completely abandoned their original formation, focusing all their attention on the elusive Defiant. Supreme Commander Vexthor's voice crackled through their comms, his earlier amusement replaced by fury. Enough of these games. All ships, maximum power to weapons. I want that ship destroyed. That was the moment they had been waiting for. With the Kraxan fleet condensed and fully committed to their attack, they had fallen perfectly into position. Elena gave the signal that would begin the real battle. Throughout the solar system, quantum shifts rippled through space as Earth's hidden fleet began to phase into normal space. The Kraxan's tight formation, so effective against a single opponent, now made them perfectly vulnerable to attack from all sides. The look of shock on Vexthor's face was priceless as hundreds of Earth ships materialized around his fleet, their quantum drives synchronized in a maneuver that had never been attempted before. The Defiant's seeming desperation had been a carefully choreographed dance, leading the Kraxan exactly where humanity wanted them. But as Elena prepared to give the order to attack, she felt something wrong. The quantum displacement was affecting her more severely than expected. She could see multiple versions of her bridge, multiple versions of herself giving slightly different orders. The distinction between quantum states was beginning to blur. Lieutenant Park's voice came from seemingly everywhere at once. Captain, quantum coherence is breaking down. We can't maintain this state much longer. Elena gripped her command chair, forcing herself to focus on a single reality. They had succeeded in their deception, but the cost might be higher than anyone had imagined. As Earth's fleet prepared to engage, she knew that the next few minutes would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the very nature of their existence. The real battle was about to begin, and there would be no going back, in more ways than one. The battle. The void of space erupted into chaos as Earth's fleet engaged the Kraxan Armada. Quantum-shifted weapons fire crisscrossed the battlefield, each shot existing in multiple states until it struck its target. The Kraxan's superior numbers meant nothing against an enemy that could attack from multiple realities simultaneously. On the Defiance Bridge, Elena fought to maintain her grip on a single reality. Her consciousness flickered between quantum states, each version of herself experiencing a slightly different version of the battle. She could see her crew struggling with the same effects, their movements becoming increasingly erratic as they existed across multiple states. "Target their command ships," she ordered, her voice echoing strangely in her own ears. "Don't let them regroup." The Defiant led the charge, its experimental drive allowing it to coordinate the quantum attacks of the entire Earth fleet. Each ship's quantum signature was carefully calibrated to create a cascading effect, their weapons fire converging from multiple realities to overwhelm the Kraxan's shields. Supreme Commander Vexthor's voice cut through the chaos, his arrogance replaced by genuine fear. "What are you? What is this technology?" Elena answered through gritted teeth, fighting the disorientation of quantum displacement. "We're humanity, and we've been preparing for this moment for decades." The battle shifted as the Kraxan fleet attempted to adapt. Their ships began firing in patterns, trying to predict where Earth's vessels would appear next. But the quantum displacement technology made such predictions impossible. Each ship existed in multiple states until observed, making their movements truly random. Lieutenant Park's station erupted in sparks as the quantum interference reached critical levels. "Captain, the drive is destabilizing. The quantum fields are beginning to merge." Elena could feel it happening. The boundaries between realities were breaking down, and with them, the very fabric of space-time around the battlefield. The Defiant's experimental drive had pushed the technology too far, and now the consequences were becoming catastrophic. All ships, execute pattern Omega, Elena commanded, her order reaching across quantum states to the entire Earth fleet. It was their final contingency plan, one they had hoped never to use. The Earth fleet began to move in perfect synchronization, their quantum drives pulsing in harmony. The space around them began to warp as hundreds of quantum fields merged into one massive distortion. The Kraxan ships caught in the effect began to phase in and out of reality, their crews experiencing the same quantum displacement that had affected the Defiant's crew. Vexthor's final transmission was fragmented across multiple realities. "Stop this. You'll destroy us all." "That's where you're wrong," Elena replied, even as she felt her own consciousness splitting further. "We're not destroying anything. We're evolving." The quantum merger reached its peak, and for a moment, every ship on the battlefield existed in all possible states simultaneously. Elena could see every possible outcome of the battle, every version of herself making slightly different choices, and in that moment of infinite possibility, she made her choice. "Now," she commanded, her order reaching across all quantum states. The Earth fleet executed their final maneuver, using their merged quantum fields to create a massive reality wave. The effect rippled through space, forcing every ship back into a single quantum state, but not before the combined energy of their drives had torn the Kraxan fleet apart at the quantum level. When reality stabilized, more than half of the Kraxan fleet had been reduced to quantum particles, their matter scattered across multiple dimensions. The remaining ships were dead in space, their systems overwhelmed by the quantum cascade. But the victory came at a terrible cost. As the quantum fields collapsed, Elena and her crew found themselves forever changed. Their consciousness remained partially quantum shifted, aware of multiple realities, even as they existed primarily in one. Lieutenant Park's voice came from his station, somehow both singular and multiple at once. "The Kraxan fleet is defeated, Captain. But our quantum signature, it's permanent. We'll never be fully in one reality again." Elena looked at her hands, seeing them both solid and shifted, existing in multiple states even as they appeared whole. "We knew the risk," she said, her voice echoing across quantum states. "And we chose to pay the price." The battle was over, but its effects would ripple through the galaxy forever. Humanity had revealed itself not just as a technological equal to the greatest powers in space, but as something entirely new. A species that had mastered quantum reality itself, even if that mastery had changed them in fundamental ways. As the Defiant moved to secure the remaining Kraxan ships, Elena knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy would never again underestimate humanity, and humanity would never again be quite the same. The legacy. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, as it came to be known throughout the galaxy, Elena Santos stood before the United Earth Council. Her form shifted slightly as she moved, a visual reminder of her permanently quantum-altered state. The entire crew of the Defiant shared this condition, existing simultaneously across multiple quantum states, their consciousness spanning realities even as they maintained primary presence in one. "The last Kraxan ship has been secured," she reported, her voice carrying echoes of its quantum variants. "Their database has been fully decrypted. The Harvest fleet we defeated represented nearly 40% of their total military force." The council chamber was silent as the implications sank in. The Kraxan Empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, had been broken in a single battle. The remaining Kraxan forces had retreated to their core systems, their confidence shattered by the revelation of humanity's true capabilities. Admiral Chen, now wearing the insignia of Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, spoke up. "And what of the survivors?" "They're adapting," Elena replied. "The quantum exposure affected their entire fleet to varying degrees. Like us, they're learning to exist across multiple states of reality. Some see it as a curse. Others," she paused, considering her words carefully, "others are beginning to see it as an evolution." The news of Earth's victory had spread rapidly through the galaxy, though few understood the true nature of what had occurred. Humanity had not just defeated a superior force, they had fundamentally altered the rules of warfare and existence itself. The quantum displacement technology, combined with the desperate gambit of the final battle, had created something entirely new in the universe. Representatives from 12 spacefaring civilizations have requested diplomatic relations, announced Council President Zhang. They're particularly interested in our quantum technology. Elena shook her head, her movement leaving quantum afterimages in the air. The technology isn't ready. What happened to us? It wasn't just about the equipment. The quantum displacement drove us to merge with multiple realities because we chose to push it beyond its limits. We accepted the risk, knowing what it might cost. The council chamber's holographic displays showed scenes from around Earth. The planet was changing, adapting to its new role in the galaxy. Ships incorporating refined versions of the quantum technology were under construction, but with carefully limited capabilities. Humanity had learned the price of pushing too far, too fast. "And what of the Defiance crew?" asked a council member. "How are you coping with your condition?" Elena smiled, and for a moment her quantum shifting stabilized, showing her as she once was. "We're still human," she said. "Just more. We experience reality differently now. We can see possibilities that others can't, paths that weren't visible before. It's not always easy, but we're learning to use it as a gift rather than a burden." The Defiant had become a symbol throughout the galaxy, not just of humanity's technological achievement, but of their willingness to sacrifice for survival. The quantum-shifted crew served as living reminders of the price of progress, and as guides for those seeking to understand the new frontier humanity had opened. Research into quantum displacement continued, but under strict controls. The technology that had saved Earth would not be used recklessly. Instead, humanity focused on understanding their new capabilities and their place in the galaxy. The Crescent survivors, those who had been quantum-shifted during the battle, began to reach out to Earth. Their experience had changed them as well, giving them a perspective their empire had never possessed. Some even sought asylum on Earth, drawn to the only civilization that understood their new existence. As the council session concluded, Elena walked to the observation deck of the orbital station. Earth hung below, beautiful and unchanged, despite all that had happened. Yet she could see it in multiple states now. What it was, what it could be, what it might become. The quantum shifting had given humanity a window into possibility itself. "Captain." Lieutenant Park's voice came from behind her, his quantum-shifted form creating patterns in reality as he moved. "The Defiant is ready for its next mission." Elena nodded, feeling the multiple quantum states of her consciousness align with purpose. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy in a way no one had expected, becoming something more than anyone had imagined. The price had been high, but the future, in all its quantum possibilities, was worth it. "Then let's show the galaxy what humanity can really do," she said, her words echoing across realities as she turned toward her ship, ready to explore the new frontier they had created. The end.